I swear by Apollo the physician, and Asclepius, and Hygeia, and Panacea, and all the gods and goddesses as my witnesses, that, according to my ability and judgment, I will keep this oath and this contract. That's part of one version of the Hippocratic Oath that you may have heard of. Not universally popular these days, seen by many as being outmoded, but the essence of the ethical requirements of physicians, the morality, is still around. In fact, it is essential. I wanted to quote from Professor Phil Banfield from this article. I wanted to come to this particular part of it. So he added, the professor, doctors are held to a high standard, and rightly so. The GMC, the General Medical Council, states it is the duty of doctors to take prompt action if patient safety is compromised. Yet, if you were paying attention, which I hope you were, you would have seen that the professor, Banfield, the BMA chairman, condemns terrible way whistleblowing is regarded in NHS, as the title says, in the National Health Service. And he goes on to say, so essentially being a whistleblower, someone who reveals information about activity within an organisation that is deemed illegal, immoral, illicit, unsafe or fraudulent, is a required part of our duty as doctors, the essence of the Hippocratic Oath. How then could such whistleblowers be treated so badly? And my goodness, they have been treated badly. So let's use this article to unpack how badly they have been treated, or at least get a glimpse of how badly they've been treated. You will see the title of the article is The 4-Step Playbook the NHS Uses to Break Whistleblowers. So, strong words. Let's go then to step one. So this is what the Telegraph suggests that some people within the NHS do when they need to change the mind of a whistleblower, or hope to change the mind. Let me put it that way around. Investigate the whistleblower. Step number one. The evidence collected by the Telegraph suggests NHS employers are more likely to investigate the conduct of whistleblowers than the issue they have raised. More likely to investigate the conduct of the whistleblower than the issue they've raised. That seems a little bit back to front to me. Of the 52 medics interviewed by this newspaper, 41 said their own conduct was put under investigation. They were all subjected to counter allegations after raising concerns. One typical example involved Jasna, it could be Jasna, but I think it's probably Jasna, so I'll go with that for the moment. Jasna Makanovic, a consultant hepatologist at Portsmouth Hospitals University NHS Trust, who raised concerns with the Care Quality Commission. As the name implies, a commission set up to ensure that there's a good standard of care, that the quality is there, about an innovative dialysis technique being used by her colleagues, which she said amounted to harmful experimentation. The CQC, the Care Quality Commission, visited the trust to investigate. Good. This sounds like a good thing. Let's investigate these concerns. And within days of inspectors departing, Dr. Makanovic was herself put under investigation. Strange turn of events. The consultant did not receive allegations of her alleged wrongdoing until the following month. So she, in good faith, has said, hey, I'm concerned about this innovative technique. Could you come and have a look at it? they do. She's under investigation, and she heard nothing for a month afterwards until then she received these allegations about her alleged wrongdoing. That must have been a big shock. A surprise, but also a shock. She was ultimately investigated on what she says were trumped-up charges of intimidation, which were dismissed as groundless by an employment tribunal. So whatever those charges were, they didn't stand up to scrutiny. Step 2 in this playbook: bully and intimidate. Of the 52 medics interviewed by the Telegraph, 45 reported being the victims of victimisation, harassment, discrimination, bullying or intimidation after they blew the whistle. 16 were inappropriately referred to psychological or psychiatric services. 16. You need to go and see a psychiatrist. We're worried about you. I'm absolutely fine. I don't need to go and see a psychiatrist. We're referring you. You're going to see a psychiatrist. But I don't need to go and see a psychiatrist. Are you raising your voice? Obviously under some form of stress. Can you see how that could spiral out of control? How dangerous and inappropriate, incorrect referral could be? 5 were victims of vexatious referrals to the police, social services and HM Revenue and Customs, with each found to have no case to answer. That's a bit left field, isn't it? Police, social services, revenue and customs. They said the bullying and intimidation appeared to be aimed not only at weakening their resolve to continue fighting, but also at damaging them psychologically. And I'll bet it did. That's a heck of a thing to suddenly find yourself in the middle of. One such case involved Dr. Rosalind Ranson, Medical Director of the Isle of Man's Health Service when it was directly run by the Department of Health and Social Care. She was fired after blowing the whistle about clinical negligence. Now again, let me just pause there. The Dr. Ranson is the Medical Director, and she has expressed concerns, or she did express concerns, about clinical negligence, the medical director, and she's then fired. There's just something off beam without even knowing the details. It just doesn't make any sense. What? She later took her case to an employment tribunal, where the tribunal judge found that she had been subjected to a pattern of disgraceful behaviour designed to make an employee feel not wanted. I think that's a bit of an understatement. So let's look at just some of that behaviour designed to make her feel unwanted. She was moved from her normal office into what was described as a box room with a broken chair and no computer screen or space for her PA, personal assistant, and her belongings were put into storage. The person most responsible for this disgraceful behaviour was her former boss, Catherine Magson, who at the time was the chief executive of the Isle of Man's Health Service, the judge said. The judge found that Ms. Magson spread unfounded and demonstrably incorrect allegations that Dr. Ranson was burnt out in order to undermine and silence her. I can only imagine what was going on. Was it little sidebar conversations, little cliques? I mean, she's saying these things, but absolutely they're not correct. I mean, in actual fact, I think she's just burnt out, so tired. She's beginning to imagine all sorts of things. Oh, I see. And then that little bit of gossip spread, or could have spread, presuming it did. And then what happens is people begin to look at this individual through the filter of, this is someone who's burnt out. So let's not take her too seriously. Let's feel sympathy, but yeah, she's probably just rambling. This is, again, horrible. In the case of Dr. Makanovic, she was called to a so-called mediation meeting during which she claims she was abused and shouted at by colleagues for 8 hours. She was later fired for what her employer said was serious misconduct in referring a colleague to the General Medical Council. So this regulator of standards, sounds like she had good reason, but anyway, she was fired for doing it. And even if she was wrong to make that referral, that seems extreme, doesn't it? Well, apparently it was, because she won an employment tribunal for automatic unfair dismissal and told the Telegraph, Portsmouth hospitals have allowed a small group of rogue practitioners and their friends to bully me and abuse me as much as they could with the intention of causing a nervous breakdown. In retrospect, now I'm absolutely certain that they felt they would pressurise me sufficiently to resign, and that they were pressuring me sufficiently to lose my mind. Strong and scary words. Step 3, weaponise General Medical Council referrals. Referral to the GMC, the regulator for doctors, is routinely used as part of NHS managers' kit bag for silencing whistleblowers, it is claimed. The Telegraph has spoken to 22 whistleblower doctors who were, between them, referred to the GMC a total of 30 times. So 22 doctors, 30 referrals. To date, only 2 of the referrals resulted in a fitness to practice hearing, and neither was upheld. 22 people, 30 referrals, none upheld. Of the 2 that actually went forward. So it kind of makes you think something has been going on there, and none of it good. 9 of the doctors claimed to have been threatened with a referral to the GMC if they didn't withdraw their complaint to stop raising patient safety concerns. Hello, I have a concern about patient safety. Shut up, or we're going to refer you to the GMC, the regulator. You could be in big trouble. Yeah, it's a caring environment. This group includes Dr. Makanovic, who told the Telegraph, the trust threatened me with a GMC referral because I was failing to cooperate with my colleagues. But why was she failing to cooperate? Was she the only one in the room telling the truth, caring? I don't know the detail, but it could well have been. And what I've been reading, I wouldn't be surprised. Step 4. Demotion, disciplinary action and dismissal. Aside from GMC referrals and MHPS, which is maintaining high professional standards investigations, hospitals and clinics can employ a suite of punishments. Well, that's good to know. We have a suite of punishments available to us. So beware if you're thinking of saying anything we don't like. To silence doctors or force them out if they dare to raise concerns about patient safety. Of the 52 whistleblowers interviewed by the Telegraph, 25 faced disciplinary action, 19 were suspended, and 16 were dismissed. Another consultant told the Telegraph, the Maintaining High Professional Standards process gives hospital management unbelievable power with no accountability. Essentially, the NHS trusts investigate themselves. Well, that's a good start. Mark their own homework. And they become the judge, jury and executioner for the whistleblower all in one go. And that does not sound like a good system. Even with the best people in charge, that's still open and prone to bias at the very, very least. So what then can we take from that? I think that it seems to be a bit of a cesspit. Now, in the mix, when people blow the whistle, there are no doubt in any given population, particularly the size of the National Health Service, going to be individuals who are mischief makers. But these people don't sound like it. And most of the time, I would suspect that whistleblowers in the NHS are raising concerns which are extremely valid, doing it because they're decent, honest people who are attempting to live within and practice within the code of that Hippocratic oath, the essence of it, the spirit of it, even although it has had to be in many situations updated because it is a bit out of date. But the idea of patient safety and care is one of the things at the core. And when a physician is unable to find employment because they're fired, where do they go? Particularly if this nastiness about spreading little rumours, they're burnt out, don't they look tired, it transmits to other trusts. And if that individual gets so psychologically damaged that they don't want to practice medicine again, then what a huge loss. And remember also that for a lot of the people who are in medicine, not all, but a lot of them, it's vocational. It's what they've always wanted to do. And without that identity, that meaning, that symbiotic link connection between who they are as an individual and what their role is, without that, they could be damaged even further. And yes, they could go abroad. They could go and attempt to get a job in some private hospital somewhere, but there aren't that many of those jobs. And going abroad, well, would they want to? They're probably ensconced within a community. They may well have families, children at school, and may be a valuable asset within their local communities. It's such a wrench to have to go anywhere. And even if they don't get fired, how much pressure must these individuals have been under when apparently all they did was to say, I don't think this is safe. I have some concerns. And so what could the remedy be? I've said some of this stuff before, but I think it comes back to who's in charge and how do they get in charge. We have to have a recruitment process, particularly when people are getting promoted, to really understand who they are. The qualifications are one thing, but what is their character actually like? Has due diligence been done to look at the collateral damage that they have caused in their journey so far, the damage to other people to get to their heady heights? And once they get into those roles, then they need to be under some kind of surveillance. There has to be a panopticon at work. The probationary period should go on forever. Nobody should have that much power that they're unsupervised, or at least they cannot be questioned. And then, of course, what seems to be the case here, allegedly, is that some groups banded together, and so the culture itself became one of protecting the trust, the reputation, the jobs, perhaps the salaries, who knows. And so this idea of eyes on from other areas becomes even more important. And of those people who are in charge, who are decent, they've got to speak up, they've got to do the right thing, and they've got to find out exactly what is going on, because one of the issues is that it can be easy to create an in-group where we're hermetically sealed and talk to the same people, and the out-group where some of the damage is being done is never visited, it's never really accessed, and people can get complacent and think they're getting the whole story, whereas in actual fact, in this hermetically sealed environment, well, it's nice, or it seems pleasant, and the grass can grow quite tall, but that's where the snakes are, and the snakes will come up and just pour a little bit of honey in that leader's ears and let them think what they want them to think. It's fine. There are no problems. Whilst the truth may be, well, radically different. And so leading by walking about, and managing by walking about as well. It's important to get rid of the trappings of power and talk to people one-to-one. I keep on saying this. This is why so much rests on leader development rather than leadership development. And you may be thinking, well, yeah, but surely these are just isolated cases. I hope they are. I suspect they're not. Because again, in a population as large as the NHS, you will get people. There's a lot of people who are extremely heroic, let me say that up front, but you will get people, a minority, but potentially an extremely damaging minority, who are there for the power, the prestige, and love it. And they may be superficially charming, but they have very little or no empathy. They may also be self-aggrandizing and consider themselves to be special and different and above everyone else. They may also be cunning and do things expediently to help them get to the top, to gain more power. And yes, I am describing the dark triad. And so it's all to play for. It's all about development of people, recruitment, and supervision, and also questioning and protecting whistleblowers.